Ladies and gentlemen, we got Drew Tacher. Tacher?
Yeah.
Come on,
Most
dude.
people do it. It's okay. They hear Margaret Thatcher. No one ever hears Tacher.
I don't want to be most people.
Well, you're not. Now you know.
Tacher.
Yeah.
In the house.
What's up?
All the way from, where are you originally from?
Seattle, Washington.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. So let's dive into the nitty gritty, hot off the press, right out of the gates. You've got a clothing company that you kicked off a while back, and then it kind of drifted away. And yet you got a download during a divine experience, which we're going to really tap into in a minute. And you're going to revamp it here in June.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this apparel brand's called Love People. And actually my older brother, Jake, who's my business partner, started it about 3 years ago with me. And Jake put in big block letters, so bigger than this, Love People on a shirt. And when he'd go out to bars or go to, if you ever heard of emo night where they'd go play a bunch of pop punk music, he'd wear this shirt and he'd get in a bunch of conversations with people. And for him, it was a way to talk to people, meet people, and just show them love. Love people, what does that mean? And just talk. There was nothing else behind it. And then Jake was talking about wanting to put this on a shirt and grow it and sell it, but also, our as much as we want to build an apparel company, it's really a movement. We just want this on people. Yeah. And we want them to wear it and live it and be it. And I've been in fashion before and I modeled for 5 years. And so I helped my brother out. And so we started this company about 3.5 years ago and made a bunch of clothes, put Love People on it, different designs and stuff like that. And I was on a silent retreat and I ended up stopping it.
Vipassana.
Yeah, Vipassana, which technically it wasn't a true Vipassana. For those who know, a true Vipassana is like you can't move at all when you're on a 10-day silent retreat and you're meditating all day.
Yeah.
And you're like not supposed to move at
all. Go like this. Bring it up a little bit.
Is that a little better?
Oh, money.
There we go. Yeah. So true Vipassana, you're like not moving at all. You're supposed to just stay like a rock.
Yeah.
I was talking to your friend Ryan, who's done one. And, he's talking about how they almost kicked him out because he was moving a little too much. So the one I went, for real, you're really not supposed to move. The one I went on, I would call like a Vipassana light. You meditate all day. You're there for 10 days. You meditate all day, every day.
Yeah.
For the most part, you have meal breaks, a couple other breaks where you kind of just nap or stretch. And they allow you to move a little bit. If you're too disruptive, they'll definitely ask you to leave. But they at least let you do one of these.
Seriously.
But on a true Vipassana, and not just a silent retreat, they really do not want you moving. So So going back to Love People, I had it 3 years ago. I was doing it with my brother. My brother got busy. I kind of ended up doing it a lot myself.
Where's your brother at right now?
He's in Colorado, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, he's up in Denver.
Cool.
And I ended up wanting to leave Seattle, where I was at the time, and go live nomadically with my wife at the time, who's now my ex-wife. And so couldn't ship stuff out. I sold a bunch of clothes, and the cool part was all the people that bought, from like family, friends, to people I hadn't talked to in 10 years, to people I didn't even know, and hearing stories of them out wearing this clothing with Love People on it, or hats or whatever, and getting into conversations, or would get photos of people getting engaged and they're wearing the hat. Just cool stuff I never had dreamt of when I started it with my brother. And so I was on the silent retreat and just getting clear on a lot of stuff. Just, you're cleansed out. You're just sitting there all day.
I can only imagine. And all the respect in the world for signing up for something like that, putting everything down, dude, and just going internal. For how long?
For 10 days.
What?
And yeah, you can do a 3-day one, and there's even some 7-day ones.
You've got to earn your way to the 3-day. You got to do the 7-day first, right? And then you can do the 3-day.
Yeah, you can go right to the 3-day.
Someone told me this yesterday.
It depends on where you go.
Okay.
The places I was at, you could just do a 3-day. For me, I knew 3 days would be too easy. And part of this, I knew it was going to be a challenge, and I wanted it to be difficult because I like doing really difficult things in general, but I really like doing like one really difficult thing a year. And I'd consider doing a darkness retreat, but to be honest, the 10 days of silence and the length of it was a bit more scary to me. And so that's why I chose that. Yeah, man.
Bro, if you ever sign up for a darkness retreat, let me know, because I've been eyeballing that for about 3 years. Ever since our local friend, he's got a YouTube channel. He did one in Mexico.
Cool.
Yeah. And it looked so intriguing.
Why haven't you pulled the trigger yet?
I'm not in a place to disconnect because of my businesses for that long.
Gotcha.
I'm not yet. I will be.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I'm doing it. Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll let you know if I ever do. I think next year I might do one.
Fired up.
Yeah.
Cool.
So now I'm restarting this. The last 2.5 months, I've been working a ton, doing everything to revamp it and up the professionalism. I want to get. I like fashion and funky clothing, and so.
And I like that you like that, dude.
It's
art.
It totally is art. I love dressing weird and different, and growing up, I didn't care at all about what I wear. I didn't like taking pictures at all. I grew up in this cult until I was 23. I'm not even allowed to real cult depends on what people's definition of a cult is, but a cult doesn't always mean this nefarious leader who's trying to just extract things out of its people or is deranged. My cult was a non-denominational Christian church, and it was an international family of churches of about 100,000 people total. And so most of the churches weren't any bigger than 200-300, some would get in the 400 or 500 range, but a lot of them were small because they were so dispersed. And we thought we were the only Christians in the world, pretty much in history, dating all the way back to the apostles that were doing Christianity right. We thought we had figured it out. And so we talked a lot of shit about other Christians all the time and how they're not doing it correctly.
Yeah, and we know that that's actually not what Christianity is all about.
Oh,
Christianity is love and acceptance. Interesting. Keep going.
Yeah, it was fun, man.
No, it wasn't.
It was funny though, bro. So growing up, I didn't care at all about what I wore because I was not even allowed to date anyways. Like we could date inside our church because you're supposed to marry another Christian, but other Christians aren't actual Christians. So I'm only allowed to date women or get married with people in my church, which is a very small pool.
And this was until you were
23.
Keep going.
Born into it.
This is great.
So I didn't care about what I wore at all, dude. I didn't care about my appearance. And then, funny enough, I wanted to start acting, so I got more camera time and became a model. And then I ended up modeling for 5 years. So I ended up wearing all kinds of stuff and getting tons of free clothes. And the clothes I get were like nice and fit me well and stuff, but I kind of just found them boring. And then I've just gone completely to the other side of I want to wear the craziest stuff I can find.
Well, what kind of modeling were you doing?
All kinds of stuff. E-com modeling, lifestyle. I would do fit modeling too, where they're fitting clothes on you. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. I would do some commercials.
Were you working out this whole time? Were you working out your whole life? Were you fit your whole life?
Yeah, I was a soccer player. I played sports all the way through college, and then I did CrossFit competitively at a really high level for about 4 years.
Okay.
And that wrecked my body. I'm still recovering in ways from what I did to my body in CrossFit, which is basically not listen to it when it was hurting. But I got really good at pushing myself and doing hard stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're painting a full dynamic picture here.
Yeah, man.
This is great.
Yeah, I'm just poking at stuff because I could go into detail about a lot of this, especially the cult I was in. To wrap up the stuff with love people the message is love people with a period, because it's period. It's unconditional love. It's what Jesus actually preached. And I'm coming back to what Jesus means to me now and what Jesus was actually doing here. And
unreal.
So we put a period on it because there's no conditions on how you show love or who you love. It's just love people, period, and love everything. We all are one. And that's our message. And so we want to put it on clothing so that you wear it and be it. But then also people see it and they go, what is that? And then you can talk to them. You can have a conversation. You can spread some love. And then I also want to drip people out in some cool looking stuff.
Yeah.
So we get some cool designs and some cooler clothes, and we got some cool tanks and some women's crop stuff coming out. So I'm excited to get my mom looking drippy, but also have it say love people on it.
Dude. All right. I'm tying some things together. Okay. I told you I went to a church service this morning.
Yeah.
The church's name is Aesthetic.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not about like looking good or anything. It's about appreciating God's beauty everywhere that it is. And it's everywhere. Yeah. So at this church, we had a live artist painting, right? They had clothing for sale, stuff like that. So what you're doing is like, it's coincidentally in alignment like with this new church thing. Like, I think it's a movement, man. It's like breaking down these traditional boxy, square, boring, papery church ecosystems and making things better, making things fun, alive, electric. You're doing it.
Well, man, yeah, the church I grew up in, we like started introducing instruments. We'd sing mostly hymns. We're at church 5-6 days a week.
Yeah.
And I pretty much had the mindset that like, okay, life's going to be boring, but one day I'll get to go to heaven, and that'll be supposedly.
Are you serious? This is literally what you thought.
Yeah.
Life's going to be boring.
Life's going to be
One
boring.
day I'm
It's
gonna
going
get
to
to
suck,
heaven.
and one day I'll get to heaven.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and I tried so hard when I was in this. So I was born into this, and my family even kind of had a big name in this church. My parents were the head elders for the Northwest churches in the United States, and I wanted to go into leadership and become a minister. And when I was like 15 or 16, to me, it was like the most noble thing I could do with my life was save souls. And it wasn't even like it really actually wasn't an egotistical thing. I wanted to do something very purposeful with my life.
That is purposeful. There's no doubt about it.
Totally is. So I got into leadership and started, helping people and learning from leaders. And then I studied my Bible a lot. I got my apologetics certificate in school, which is the defense of Christianity. So you learn about world religions and the canonization of the Bible and archaeology and all these different things. And the idea is to build a repertoire so I can defend Christianity. And the more and more I learned that we have no idea what we're talking about. We have no idea. And the guys that said they did had like behind closed doors would admit more openly that, yeah, we don't really know. And they were so certain about this stuff. And the more I looked into it, and then also the more I just got into leadership, there were some crazy, crazy people in leadership. Because here's why it was a cult.
What made them crazy?
Yeah, well, I think it's different per individual. But I'll tell you, the thing that made people crazy more than anything was the fear that drove them. Our cult was completely driven by fear. There wasn't much money involved. The leaders didn't have money. In fact, we paid them shit. And if we didn't like the leaders, we'd kick them out. And they'd have no 401k or anything. And they might have had families and stuff. And if they couldn't get another job as a minister, they're kind of just out on their asses. I've got this 15-year pastor resume, and now I got to go find a job, and I'm 40 years old. So it wasn't a top-down, let's make money. It was we are so driven by fear of going to hell, essentially, right? That in the way we interpret the Bible, that we are willing to succumb to this structure. So it's a lot of like very weak-minded people, to be honest. And they might have like big caricatures, but at the end of the day, it's like a lot of fear. And so we had a lot of good-hearted people that were just completely run by it. And so, we thought we were the only ones. We thought we were the only Christians doing it right. And that church used to explicitly say it. Then they stopped explicitly saying it, but we still said it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, we're the only ones doing this thing right. We're the only ones going to heaven. Like, these other Christians, they're not doing it right. You're expected to be at church 5-6 days a week. There's hierarchical structures, literal like documents and
That
structures.
sounds exhausting, dude.
Yeah, bro, it's extremely exhausting, especially because most of the time you don't actually want to be there.
Yeah.
It's not actually fun. You're hanging out with people you don't actually want to hang out with. It's constricting. It's not about art and beauty and a celebration of life, like it sounds like the church you're going to this morning.
And your dad had a big name in it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Your mom too?
Yeah, our last name, the Tacher name for sure. Especially like in our family of churches, like people looked up to, my mom and dad are amazing people.
Yeah.
Like amazing people. And so a lot of people found a lot of like warmth and refuge in them. And so did I. Like felt like a bit of an escape from the whole thing, the whole structure.
And yet they were still a part of it.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm curious to see where this goes.
Yeah. So I left when I was 23. I tried for so long to change things because I saw so much craziness, and none of it was congruent with what I felt like the message of what we were trying to do was. And I just could not get them to change anything as much as they said they wanted to. I feel like I was just beating my head against the fucking wall, dude, over and over. And I'd run into these crazy leaders who were super egotistical and would call me prideful because they were scared of me. And after a while, I was 23, and I was so afraid to leave because leaving the church felt like I was condemning myself to hell.
Sure.
I could not separate the two. I was born into it. You leave your family, you leave your friends. You're not supposed to have friends outside of the church. So all of your friends, your whole life is inside this organization.
That fear is real. Okay. I was raised in the church as well. And basically I was told that anytime if I sinned, I was going to hell. Sinners go to hell. That's how much fear I had. Like, cursing is a sin. Don't curse.
Mhm.
That's a sin. You go to hell. Like, how fucking intense is that?
Oh, dude, it's so tough. So the thing that was hard for us is like we would, we had this paradigm of we understand that everyone sins, right?
Yeah.
We try our best not to sin, but everybody sins. So you gotta get baptized and wash your sins away. But even after that, if you fuck up too much, you could go to hell. So I'm basically always just like feeling like I'm fucked. I'm trying as hard as I can. I'm not hiding stuff. I'm confessing stuff, but like I'm still sinning. And even though I'm not trying to, and the thoughts in my head and what my heart's telling me and all these scriptures that we use to kind of just mess with us, and it's really like brainwashing, and it's not intentional, but it is brainwashing. And so I pretty much just always feel like I'm going to hell. And I was trying harder than most of the people that were even there too. And
Because it's your personality. You're driven. You're an achiever. So it's magnified.
Exactly, bro. So when I'm 23, I'm so afraid to leave that I can't, but I like kind of concoct this, way to essentially leave without feeling like I'm leaving, which is I push the boundaries of what they say is okay so much that it like breaks stuff. So I'm a guy that a lot of young people in the church and in the family of churches look up to, and my parents have a big name, and we would stop explicitly saying we were the only Christians, but we still lived that way and spoke like it behind closed doors. In theory, if somebody else did Christianity the way we did, but went to a different church, they would still be saved, but we'd probably have to like pass them. We had a series of 15 Bible studies. If you didn't agree with everything we said and get baptized at the end, then you weren't allowed to join our church.
So much structure.
Tons, bro.
There's rules.
And we wouldn't even let everybody in. I'd get to the end of a 15 Bible study series that would take 4 or 5 months with somebody, and then the leadership wouldn't even let them in because they thought their parents were like saved because they prayed and read their Bible. So anyways, to conclude how I left, I ended up meeting this girl online on Tinder, and she was a Christian. I was 23.
23. Yeah.
So she said she was a Christian. She prayed and read her Bible. She went to church every week. She got baptized when she was of age where she could decide for herself, like 16 or 17. We didn't believe in baptism for infants because they can't choose for themselves. And so we go on some dates. I tell my closest friends, they're disciples in the church, baptized disciples as we would call them. I told my dad, who's in leadership, so I'm not hiding it. I didn't touch this girl other than to like hold her hand a little bit, didn't kiss her. And one day, one of my friends went behind my back because he was so afraid to get found out, that I would get found out, because this was like edgy. This is very edgy what I'm doing. Like, you're not really supposed to do this, but I'm like, show me where in the Bible it's a sin. You can't show me. So he goes behind my back and tells the lead pastor. He tells my best friend's mom and another person in leadership. The thing blows up so much that, first they're like, Drew, why are you hiding this from us? I'm like, what do you mean? I wasn't hiding this. I told all of my friends who are my closest confidants. I told my dad, who's in leadership. What do you mean? And they're like, then why'd you do this? This is wrong. I'm like, what do you mean? She's a Christian. She got baptized. Like, I haven't touched her. What do you mean? Why? This isn't wrong. We do everything purely. And it's so edgy for them that essentially for 7 weeks, they don't talk to me, and they have deacons and elders meetings like a few times a week to try to decide what to do. And all of a sudden they flip on my parents and stuff becomes really weird. So at the end of 7 weeks, this girl doesn't want to go on dates anymore because she can sense some of this is going on. And I'm like telling her a little bit about it. This is like my life. She leaves. She's out of here. I don't blame her. And
she's like, that's too intense for me.
I don't blame her at all, dude. Looking back on it, for me, it was like kind of normal. I'm like, yeah, this is what we do. What do you mean?
Yeah.
It got so weird that eventually I felt like I could finally leave, because these guys, eventually we had a meeting at the end of all of this, and they're like, here's sin. Here's what we know sin is, and it's these things. And then here's what we know wrong is. And it doesn't say it in the Bible, but it's wrong, which means it's sin. And what you did was wrong. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm out of here. I finally got the courage to leave after all this. And then because of that, my parents also shortly left after. A bunch of other people left after that shortly too, because my family, they could see it's starting to get nuts. Both of my brothers left shortly after that too. And so my whole immediately family left. And then a lot of people
Your parents
left.
2 brothers.
Uh-huh.
Sister?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so 3 boys.
Yeah.
Got it. Yep.
So yeah, I left when I was 23 or 24, and it's been 7 years now, 8 years. Thank God.
And it's all because of you.
Well, I was at least the catalyst and the spark that allowed the others to leave. My little brother's gay, and Sammy would have left a long time ago, way before this. I think Sammy said it like, they've said it where like, oh, the family's leaving? Good, I'm out of here. I've been waiting forever.
Yeah.
Because we had, in this church as well, we would say you're allowed to be gay because we know that you didn't choose to be gay. You were born gay. We get that. But you can't do any gay shit. So you can be gay, just don't like be gay.
Don't do the gay things.
Yeah, exactly. So you can be same-sex attracted, but don't have sex with a man or be in love with a man. We had a ministry called the Strength in Weakness Ministry. So being strong in your weakness being that you're gay. And it was led by a man named Guy Hammond, who was gay, not bisexual, but married to a woman and had 3 children. And it was wild. The stories that my little brother will tell me are crazy.
What's one?
I mean, some of this stuff is like touchy to share because they're like trying to help these like 15 and 16-year-old kids like through their like struggles and challenges of like, I'm gay, but I'm in this church thing. And it's not even as, some of them would be like, pray the gay away. But there was also this like middle ground where our church was like, no, it's not wrong if you're gay, but again, don't be gay. So it's like, it's
What
just
do
a
you do?
different type of mindfuck. Exactly. What do you do?
You don't know?
Kill yourself or like hope for death, you know, like this is what happens in these situations.
Yeah.
So it was a wild experience and it shaped me in a ton of ways that I'm actually very grateful for. And oh man, it sucked so much ass, bro. It fucking sucked, bro.
Yeah. You weren't free whatsoever. So let's talk about, you're growing up in the church ecosystem and you didn't really care about your clothes. I remember you saying that. You didn't have to wear like, you didn't have to be polished going to church?
No, ours was the opposite, really. Like when you went to church, like honestly, a lot of the kids just wore basketball shorts and stuff.
Yeah.
As I got a little older, like I'd put on a little something, but it'd be like I'm wearing pants when I never do. Or a lot of the time I would still just kind of wear whatever.
Yeah.
It wasn't that kind of church either where it's like you really got to polish up like traditional churches.
Let's take a quick moment to shout out the people making big moves in real estate, the elite residential group at Keller Williams Realty. With over $90 million in sales volume and more than 300 families helped, they're one of the top real estate teams in Central Texas for a reason. Whether you're buying, selling, or just figuring out your next step, they make the process simple and centered around your priorities.
Greg and his small team have been absolutely crushing the Austin real estate market, producing incredible numbers.
He is always responsive, he's always on point, he never misses anything.
I would highly recommend him for anybody looking to buy or sell in the Austin, Texas area.
Hit the link in the description to book your free consultation. When did you start really becoming who you wanted to become? Like I know 23 was kind of like you made the decision, you cut off, yeah? You probably had a transitional period figuring out your steps, getting your foundation. When did you really tap into the path that you wanted to take?
Yeah, good question. So because of my parents and how amazing they are and the counseling they would put into others and how they raised us, I have like an incredibly high emotional intelligence for my age at the time. But like my individuality is completely gone. So right after I left the church, I had some friends, actually one of which who lives here now in Austin, named Alec Kimball. And I went up to a music festival with them. And he's like, hey, we're going to try some hard drugs. How do you feel about that? And I just left the church and I was like, sure. What even is that? He's like, we're going to try some mushrooms, which to me, it's funny because to me now I'm like, that's not like hard drugs. I'm thinking meth or heroin. It's like, yeah, it grows in the ground. But we go up to this music festival and I'd never tried any drug, never tried weed or anything before. And I tried mushrooms for the first time. And I had just the craziest like ego death. I'm just an organism in the universe, expanded consciousness experience. And then the second night we took more mushrooms and I accidentally took some Molly with it because someone handed me a water bottle and I thought it was just water and I drank it. And he's like, hey, Drew, that's Molly water. And I was like, what's that? He's like, you're going to find out. So I'm on, they call it hippie flipping. I'm on mushrooms and MDMA. And I also have this another just head exploding, soul exploding experience.
That sounds really nice.
It was amazing, man. And so I got back from this, I remember getting back on Sunday and like sitting in my room for a while, like, what the fuck just happened, bro? After this crazy weekend, I was like, I got to try more of this. So I got more mushrooms. I started taking those. And then I started taking like any psychedelics, and like I got some weed and anything I could get my hands on, because when I was in my church, I mean, I wanted to expand as well. I wanted to learn more about Christianity and world religion. And this offered me another avenue to expand quickly. And so I started taking whatever I could to get my hands on. And I've taken almost all of my psychedelics by myself in my room, or in nature by myself, maybe a couple small friends. But I would, even still now, 2 weeks ago, I do ketamine. I'm in my room by myself. I have such a desire to just understand myself and the universe and expand in that way. So I started taking psychedelics, which have been the single biggest catalyst in my life to me opening up to God and the universe and myself and my soul.
Yeah.
So I started taking a bunch of psychedelics and started meditating and reading different books to expand this little box I had of what the world was.
Yeah.
You know, and this little frame I had of Christianity and my specific flavor of it completely blew it open. And then the other thing that shaped me a lot to who I am today was I got married shortly after I left my church, maybe a year and a half later. I met a woman on a dating app.
A year and a half?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so I met her on a dating app, and we dated for about 18 months.
Still living up in the mountains?
Yeah, I was up in Seattle, and then I went to LA for a little bit, kind of during COVID. It sucked. I didn't like it. I'm not a big LA guy anyway. It's not my vibe. And then moved back to Seattle in that area.
Okay.
And that relationship also changed my life so much in so many ways. I grew. That relationship forced me to change in so many ways.
What gifts did it give you?
So immediately starting to date my ex-wife, we came from very different backgrounds, where she came from divorced parents and an abusive father, and a mother who was very controlling. And I came from a household where my parents are extremely loving. They're second mom and dads to a ton of my friends and other people. And I'm so blessed to have the parents I have. Like, I love them so much. My dad's coming to visit this week. I can't
Cool,
wait.
dude. Yeah.
And so immediately we came from very different worlds communicatively, and how we could interact in relationship or when things get hard. And it put a big strain on our relationship. And there were some other things that I had a really hard time accepting her sexual past. Not only her sexual past, but her just dating in general, because I had never really been in that world. And so it sparked up this phrase I have for it called retroactive jealousy, where I'm essentially like obsessively, compulsively thinking all the time about it for about 4 or 5 months. And I'm working really hard. It was my first experience with OCD, where I cannot get my head off it. And that's why I learned to start meditating and just let the thoughts come and go. And that was one of the hardest times of my life. And I was suicidal during that time. I could not get my head off it.
Of what?
Off of her sexual past, or what she had, or her past dating relationships too. I just couldn't get my head off it. And I eventually found this online community and this guy who had coined this phrase, retroactive jealousy, of people who were experiencing the same thing. And so I got to talk to others who were also going through the same thing, or who had experienced the same thing. Help me feel like I'm not alone. Okay, I'm not freaking crazy. And other people have eclipsed this. I'm going to work my ass off to get over this.
Yeah.
So immediately after meeting her, I had this incredible episode of a number of months where I'm struggling mentally a lot.
Yeah.
But still really love being around this woman. And at the same time, go for it.
Okay. OCD. Obsessive compulsive. I'd like to change the word. I haven't figured out what I'd like to change it to. There's got to be a better word than disorder.
Yeah, straight up.
Obsessive compulsive fuego. Okay?
Straight up, fuego.
Yeah.
Yeah, it lights you on fire. You know, you got some stuff going on.
Lit up, baby.
Mm-hmm.
And then enter the relationship, and it gets lit up even more, yeah?
Yeah, totally. And I think everybody's somewhere on the spectrum for the most part of like some OCF, obsessive compulsive fuego.
Yeah.
And so like I had tendencies before, but then I got into this relationship and it just exploded, and I was like, I got smacked in the face by it.
Yeah.
It hit
I
on
can
insecurities. Yeah, man.
On a level to which you would not have expected. And I'm glad you're here today so we can talk about it. Keep going.
Yeah, man. I'd love to hear about that. And you're walking things soon. So essentially this relationship, how it helped me level up is, you know, getting into this relationship because of my experience in my cult, my church, where you're supposed to give everything up to God. You're not supposed to trust anything from within you at all. Your heart is deceitful above all things. That's a scripture from Jeremiah. There's scriptures about people just giving themselves what their itching ears want to hear. And so the idea is like anything that's from inside of you is bad. And so I'm a huge people pleaser. And so I get in this relationship and stuff doesn't feel great. And I'm really just trying to make stuff work. And I'm looking at myself when in reality, if I really trusted myself, I would just be like, no, I'm not okay with these things that are going on in our relationship. And either they're going to change or we should be with other people.
Right.
And we grew a ton, both of us, in that relationship in really, really beautiful ways. And a lot of it we did together. And I'm very grateful for it. But it forced me to grow a ton. We were also in a sexless relationship for, we were together 5.5 years, and most of it was sexless. She had a ton of sexual blocks and trauma that she was working through for years, but it was very, very difficult for me because I'm also a very sexual person. And so that put a huge strain on our relationship as well. And so we just had a ton of different stuff.
Yeah, it's like
we had worked
and then you got church, but you're a sexual person, and I'm sure there's a conflict.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Subconscious.
Oh yeah.
And then her stuff. Oh, dude, a bird's nest. Keep going.
Totally.
It's great.
So we had tons of time and space to work on stuff together, and both of us were very ambitious people too. We want the best out of life. We don't want to settle. I don't want something just mediocre. I'd rather die trying than live a boring, mediocre life. And so we really worked hard together. And so that relationship leveled me up in a ton of different ways because it brought up a ton of things right in my face that I needed to change. And I'm very grateful for that. Ultimately it'll be a year and 2 weeks ago it ended because she went on a women's retreat down in Mexico and cheated on me while actually I was living here nomadically in Austin with her. And I left her right away. And I've been single now for about a year, kind of dating someone now. And since me and my ex-wife have been able to reconnect and share a lot of love between each other, and I've forgiven her, and I've nothing but love for her and wish her all the best and all that like happiness in the world. But I'm so grateful for that relationship because of who I am today and where I am.
Damn.
Yeah, bro.
Wow.
Tell me about the
what the
OCD you've experienced, man, because I do enjoy talking about that because I know everyone experiences that in different ways, and it's like dealing with that is such a way to deal as being a human here. It's such a normal part of, okay, I'm a human and I have this ego, and we experience it in different levels. Tell me about
relationships. Kind of put a magnifying glass on certain things like that. Yeah, I had a wife when I was 30, and I just remember there being darkness in the relationship, a lot of darkness because we lost 2 kids, and there was also like insecurities and stuff like that, and I felt this massive amounts of pressure, right? Because I'm an upbeat, happity dappity guy. Okay?
You are.
Yeah, and my philosophies and my principles are all about, hey, we've got one life to live, and if we're not having a good time, well, what are we really doing? Like, I think that's my scorecard of life. How much fun did I have? Yeah. Control what you can control. Right? Needless to say, a lot of external factors weighed heavily into the relationship, and dude, I was at this apex, and all of a sudden, bing! I started obsessing on language.
How so?
Yeah, dude, I was at this. We're talking OCD talk now.
Oh yeah,
if you're cool with that.
Yeah, I'm cool with literally anything, bro. I'm an open book. You can ask me anything, and you can talk about anything.
Yeah, we're at this ski trip over in Utah, I think, with some friends, and all of a sudden, I just started noticing that my wife at the time would say the word "like" in a sentence, and what is that, right? Everybody says it. Everybody and their mom says it. My grandma says it, right? But for some reason, it just, because of where I was at emotionally, spiritually, all that stuff, it was like in my face, and I couldn't stop thinking about it, dude. And then you start asking this question: what does it mean, right? Where's it? Why is this happening to me? Where does this come from? And that was years ago, and I still I'm working on this, man.
So is it like when somebody uses like the word like that, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was trying to do an example.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. But I never had, like, when I was growing up, I would go up the stairs, down the stairs, tap, 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 tap the door handle over and over again, right? And it was okay. It never really bothered me too much. But for some reason, when I got into the marriage, that's when it was kind of really peaked up. And so I think it's interesting to hear your story about it too. When you were in the marriage, it kind of peaked up for a little bit, but you figured it out, right? You did your research. You saw that other people had pretty much identical obsessions.
Yeah.
Right?
The thing that was for me was I've always been a guy that knows I can't run from things. So this is not a her problem.
Nice.
This is something I have to deal with. And if I run from this because it's so hard, it's just going to show up somewhere else in my life. And so I know I need to go through this thing. And at times I felt like there was no way through. And so I worked really, really, really hard at it because it was the most pressing thing in my life. And I had the time and space to. I've always had these jobs where I haven't had to work much, like remote sales usually.
Yeah.
And I knew I had to get through it, whether with her or without her. Like, this is going to show up again. And I have to get through this. And so I researched a ton. I did a lot more than just this guy's course. I read a lot of other books and did other types of meditation. And it was the culmination of a lot of things. And really what it came down to was more than just like a perspective shift and getting ideas. It was like flexing the muscles of meditation, of getting out of my ego, of just letting things pass, of hearing other voices in my head that weren't me, and also getting really, really crystal clear on how I do want to view things, which is that for me at the time, it was that somebody's sexual past or who they've dated is no reflection on who they are now. I want to choose to see people for who they are now and then choose if I want to be them or around them or not. And I don't want to judge them based on what they've done. I don't even want to judge people based on what they do now. I want to love everybody equally. And I can decide if I want to be around someone or not. But the person that my wife was showing up as was someone I wanted to be around at the time. And I didn't want that, what she had done or where she had been, which at the end of the day, I actually don't even judge as bad or wrong, to affect me or our relationship, or especially how I'm living day to day inside my own body, inside my own head.
Yeah, because the OCD mind is repetitive. It's like a drum, boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, right? So choosing, like, if you're gonna have those repetitions, how are you perceiving it? Is it gonna uplift you? Is it gonna be good, or is it gonna be bad? And that's where we get to implement choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
100%. And that's where I'm at now. Is I get to choose what I focus on 24/7. So I've got a bunch of thoughts coming into my head all day, every day, about a bunch of other BS, and they're not me. Like, I saw some lady downstairs and started judging her. I looked at myself in the mirror and started laughing because it's literally comical.
Yes.
It's like, dude, this ain't me. That's like a funny comment. Like, dude, get out of here.
Yeah.
It's not me. So I get to focus and choose what I focus on. And I choose to focus on high vibrational things and good things. There's always a better feeling thought. And I used to think that type of living or perspective was a way to distract myself, or I'm bypassing things, but it's not the case at all. I want to focus on what is good, and that will bring more of it into my life. And outside of what happens externally, that's how I live beautifully on the inside.
Yes. And here's the whole encompassing question, man. I'm really curious to hear what you've got to say.
Let's go.
Where does God come into play here? Because here we are, right? The OC Fuego.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Where does he come in the mix? What do you think his plan is with this?
Sure.
For people like us.
So how I see the universe now is that we are all God. I'm God, you're God, we're sitting here. I'm like I have limitations being a human, and I'm like a split off of God as a soul, but we all roll up into the same thing.
Yeah.
And so I can't just like shoot a fireball out of my hand right now. I don't know how to do that. I've got some limitations on me. And I'm down here to live a joyous life. And through that, I'll have expansion and will create and will experience myself as God, which right now is the unique flavor of Drew.
Yeah.
And so I get to have this experience, and there's probably things here that I've come here to try to learn or whatever, but I'm not really too worried about that stuff. It's really to have this joyous expansion of life and to choose joy. And through all of that, I inevitably learn tons and grow a ton without it having to be this like struggle and strife and fight of hard lessons.
Yeah.
So, I think we come into this world as these like pure, joyous souls. You can see it in children. They're just playing. You see Jesus talking about children. be like these children, essentially, is what his message is. Look at them. They're completely innocent.
Yeah.
They're not in their egos. They're fully present. You can see it in dogs. When you look into a dog's eye, they are there with you. They're not thinking about anything else. They're looking right at you.
I
And,
literally saw a YouTube clip yesterday saying that.
right?
Yes.
That-
How
that's
dogs
one
are
of
present. They don't think about the past. Yeah, it's cool.
Past, future, nothing. They're like right here. Maybe like 2 minutes in the future, I want some food, but that's about it. So we pick up all this other stuff as humans through other humans that have trauma, through experiences we don't understand, through energy, and we get all this crap inside of us, to be honest. And so, for me with OCD or OCF as we call it, is I had a bunch of other voices in my head too that weren't me, that I was getting attached to as me, and like, oh my God, oh no. And when I was able to start understanding that these voices aren't even me, they're just other stuff I've picked up, they're just coming through, that helped more than anything, because I could just listen to that voice and go, I don't even have to listen to that. I don't have to pay attention to it. And just because it came in my purview doesn't mean I'm bad or wrong or that anything is wrong. It can just be a thing.
Yeah.
Humans have crazy thoughts all the time. I'll drive down the road and think about just bowling like 10 people over with my car and watching them fly into the air.
Yeah.
And I know a ton of other people that also have these thoughts. So if someone's listening to this and they're like, not me, get out of here. You have crazy thoughts too. Most of us do.
Yep.
And the people that push those down and go, oh my God, that's terrible. I want to kill 10 people. Those are the people that are usually acting out in crazy ways because they're pushing down this part of them. When in reality, I don't want to run over and kill 10 people.
No.
It's just a thought that came into my head.
Yeah.
And if I saw them fly into the air, it'd be kind of funny. But I don't actually want that to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I play some video games or something. You play GTA 5, you get grenade hands, you punch some people, they blow up in the air. Okay, cool, got my little fix. I don't want to actually harm people, you know?
No. Love people.
Yeah, exactly.
Period.
Love people. Yeah, man. So that's kind of how I'm vibing with what's going on out here today. And I'm learning more and more too. I believe life brings me everything I need for my expansion. So I don't even have to go look for it. It's just going to bring it to me, whether it's a book that gets recommended to me or a life experience or whatever it is. It's just going to come.
It is. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which you had I want to hear about your walking experience, because that was very much like my silent retreat, where it's this difficult thing. And in terms of life experiences, it sounds like one that definitely shaped you, huh?
Yeah, a lot of alignment with that. Things that led up to that day. Okay. I heard a spiritual clearer coach, we'll call it.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. You tell her your life story, traumatic events, so on and so forth. She asks for this dialogue. You send it to her email. And then she does her thing. She goes, well, bibbity boppity boo. And she goes, Greg, this is what I'm hearing for you. Tell me about you don't trust life. How does that resonate with you? On a scale of 1 to 10. I'm like, okay, Wendy, that's a 10. She goes, let's remove that. And she does this thing. And she goes, nope. All of my powers combined, something. I don't even know what she says, bro. I can never remember it. And she goes, how's it now? Do you hear any voices? I'm like, no. She goes, yeah, it's cleared. It's gone, Greg.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah. So, out of nowhere, we're going through this laundry list. Out of nowhere, she goes, by the way, I have anger for you as 100. And I never brought up anything about being angry. I never told her about I'm angry. I don't feel angry. Again, I talked about it 2 seconds ago, how I'm a pretty uppity guy. Yeah. And I thought to myself, she's freaking right. She's freaking right. She goes, I want you to tap into that, Greg. Right? We're going to clear it. We got down to like a 30 from 100. So, lead up to the walk. All right. I was on a mission. It's a spiritual experience doing this thing.
Oh, yeah.
All right. A lot of people, they did it together. They didn't really push themselves because when you're with the group, you can't really go all out. Case in point, everybody did 42 miles. I did 64. Everyone else did 42.
64 miles in 24 hours?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I was on a mission. Like we take a little break, we do our push-ups, and then that's like, okay, guys, I gotta go. Boom, gone. And 3 a.m. I remembered. I was like, Wendy said I got anger. I said, where's this fucking anger coming from? Yeah, dude, I found myself talking to myself for hours. Talking to my ex-wife, talking to my dad, dude, like all these situations. And it was like this process of releasing it. And I was like literally on this trail in Dallas, Texas. Middle of the night, it's pouring rain. And I'm like, rage, dude. And I let it out. And what did it lead me to? What did it lead me to, right? What's the point in all this? Why get mad? That's terrible. It's negative energy. You got two energies in life, Drew. What are they? Two. What are they?
Fear and love?
Exactly. The anger is fear. Why am I angry? Fear of being rejected by my parents, by my ex-wife. That's all fear. How do we reverse that? How do we take ownership of our lives? Love instead, yeah? So you process it. That's an important piece of everything. You've got to process. Go through it. Go for the walk, right? Look in the mirror as long as you have to look until it's gone, yeah? So that's what I got out of that. It was incredible. And I recommend something like that for anybody. There's all these modalities, healing modalities. Who would have thought that a 24-hour walk would have been one of those? Yeah, but it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see God. You talk to God. It's fired up, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine doing something so hard, pushing yourself and being alone that long. Similar to the silent retreat for sure.
The silent retreat.
Yeah, and you have like the physical aspect of it with the walking. But I totally get that.
Yeah. I highly recommend any kind of experience like that. Because what does it boil down to, right? I think that, the devil loves drifters. We know this. And how does he create drifters? Shiny objects, distractions, porn, internet, comparing yourself to others, making a bunch of money for who knows why, right? All this stuff. Well, what happens when you get rid of it? Then what are you left with? You're left with you, God, and yourself. Okay? That's when shit gets real.
In the space.
In the space.
Yes.
In the space. Yes, dude. Oh, God, bro.
Yeah, I hear you,
Yeah.
man. I've been spending a lot of time in the space in the last year of ridding my life and stripping my life of things that I didn't even want or I was going after because out of fear. Spent a lot of time chasing things out of fear, like wanting money for fear of being trapped or fear of not having it instead of I want to do something with money and a bunch of other different things in my life. And so the last year I spent a ton of time in that space of not filling it up with distraction. And at times I've still picked up a few things here and there from old patterns and then been like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I so goddamn mad all the time? Or like, why am I bored and I don't want to do any of this stuff that I picked up and I hate doing it?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah. I'm doing this thing again. I got to drop it. And instead just sit in nothingness and like sit outside and stare at the trees for hours at a time and go, that's okay. And so I'm spending a lot of time still now and stuff's actually starting to come in my life for the first time where I have tons of energy to want to do stuff. It seems like I have a lot going on. For most of my life, it's not been the case. It's like I have not a ton going on or I've picked up some stuff I don't actually want to do. And spending time not worrying about what my purpose is or what I need to be doing, but instead just sitting and dropping what I had picked up so that there's actually space for me to receive what it is the universe actually wants for me, the things that feel aligned, that energize me, that excite me, that bring joy, because they all have to check those things. Otherwise, they're not aligned with me. Those things are actually starting to come into my life. And I'm much less worried about, is this I used to want to find what's the thing I'm going to do or what is my purpose. And I'm just so less concerned with that stuff now. And it's bringing a lot more joy into my life where I'm just doing some stuff here and there and it sounds fun. I started producing music and mixing and mastering music and creating this apparel brand, or I've got a company that does automated Forex trading, and I'm just getting involved with more stuff that actually like excites me instead of picking up stuff out of necessity. And it's born out of that silence and that space instead of picking up, like you're saying, all these distractions and shiny objects, which were ultimately for me, things I was just driven to out of fear instead of out of love.
Yeah. I've got one for you. Okay.
Please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're designed to work as humans. We're called to work to be productive in a sense. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we also, I'd say that there's always some kind of hierarchical system or scorecard or ranking. There is everywhere we go. Like, that's why we're always obsessed with, the most expensive or the richest person, right? It's always fun to talk about these things, yeah? Well, my question for you is, how do you say you get to the end of the line, how do you score the way you lived? What's the scorecard look like? What's on there? What are the criteria points?
Mm-hmm.
What are they? Really?
Yeah.
Really, what is it?
For me, it's if I lived authentically in every moment, because
Dang.
I don't think it matters what we do here. I don't think it matters what we're supposed to do here. Like, the word should be just out of our vocabulary. And it's funny I say should be, but my dad is a saying, don't should have all over yourself. So there's no thing that we should be doing here. My goal and what drives me, and it drives the expansion of my soul, is to live authentically in my joy. And I think everything else will be brought to me. And so if I'm really completely honest with myself, and I'm in touch with my spirit,
Yeah.
and I'm in touch with God, and I want to lay at the beach for my whole life, and I'm like, yeah, I fucking nailed it, bro. I got sandy every day.
Yeah.
Then my scorecard is an A+++++, as long as you're honest with yourself. And for some people, it's having a family, and that's all they want to do. And that is the most expansive thing that could happen. Or for some people, being in alignment means building a huge ass business and making tons of money. And it has nothing to do with being in fear or trying to fill some insecurity or some hole or void they have inside them. That is their calling. That's what lights them on fire. That's what brings them joy.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of having so much diversity out here. Some people, will be working some, IT job for their whole life, and they love coding. And I don't want to be on a computer all day, every day, but that's their thing. They're into it.
Yeah.
So for me, it is being in complete authentic alignment with my soul. And what that feels like for me in this moment, in this stage of life, is completely choosing my joy and really trying to get present with people and spread as much love as possible, look people in the eye. And when I leave them, they feel like they have just received a ton of love. And that lights me on fire right now. No matter if it's one person I meet one day, or I get to talk to a bunch of people, or it happens in a bigger way down my life, it doesn't matter. That's, to me, what an A+ is if we're scoring it.
Yeah. Wow. Freaking awesome.
What about you?
That's great. Yeah. Well, okay. All right. The answer I've been giving the past 2 days, it's, of course, it doesn't stop here, but I've been telling people how much fun I've had without the expense of anybody else. Removing that. So how much fun can you have every single day without the detriment of others? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else gets hurt. You're having fun. That's like a score. That there's probably some more to that, right? But I think at the top, maybe. Right?
It could be legitimately just that.
Just that.
I could make an argument that it is.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, first glance, that's my answer. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah, dude, because, come on. Time is precious, right? We know this. Most things in life are that simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, let's touch upon simplicity for a second here.
Yeah,
okay?
please. I love this.
And the principle of simplicity. Okay, you go to the countries with the highest average age, right? Like 100 plus, and their lives are so simple. They're friends with the same people from elementary school till the end of time. They garden. They make their own food. Everything's pure. They're not worried about money. Think about how much joy and laughter and fun that they get to have every single day, right? Talk about a scorecard, man. A+++. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude, I'm really on that wave. Our egos are so obsessed with putting everything in its place, and they overcomplicate everything. Mm-hmm. Growing up, being in this culture, even with the Christian mindset that most people have, the worldview is, I'm separate from God. I need someone to save me. And my goal is to try to live the best life I can, and then I get to heaven. Or for some other people, it's like, I come here to learn a bunch, and I have to clear and heal trauma and heal generational stuff. And it's even overcomplicated in a different spiritual way. When really, man, if I think about it, it's like, look, okay, we're God. We came down here, or God, is this all omnipresent, loving being. And does it make sense that we would send ourselves here, or God would send us here, or I would choose to come down here and have all these complexity in my life, and I have all these different tasks I'm supposed to have? it doesn't make sense to me. Like, it literally makes sense that we would come down here just to vibe.
Yeah.
To expand, to create. That's all we want to do is vibe and have fun. And here's the thing, we learn through that. We learn a ton through that. And we grow and expand, and there's more room for the fruits of the spirit, love, joy, connection, excitement, all through fun and joy. And so that's where I'm at in my life right now, is I have to choose things that are joyful and fun. I cannot be doing things that are not fun and expansive. And sometimes that means I still have to do little remedial things, like pay my bills or whatever. But it's part of an overall lifestyle of, I like being here and I like doing these things. And me and some of the people that I'm around are really trying to spend a lot more time just living like we're kids again.
Yeah.
I don't want to put everything in order and live in a calendar in my head and the things I should be doing. When I was a teenager, like, the best times of my life, summer when I'm a teenager. I'm fucking around with my friends every day. We're going and throwing water balloons at cars at night and TPing houses. We're getting up at 10 or 11 and shooting hoops and playing sport, like, whatever, going in the lake. And, I might not even want to do all those things now, but I just chose joy every day, and I didn't worry about the rest. I didn't worry about anything else. I just chose joy. And so now that's what I'm trying to do again. And it's so much better than some of the other shit I've been doing and picking up, man.
Yeah.
Living simply.
God. Let's talk about expansion. This is an expansive conversation.
Absolutely it is.
Man, I'm over here like processing and thinking about, how can I apply this to my life starting today? Yeah, this is really good. Now, okay, just out of personal curiosity.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, your bread and butter. What was that? How you pay the bills? What have you been doing?
So I lived in Seattle, and at the time I was in IT for a while, and like IT management. I was at Microsoft, and then I went into remote sales, where I'd have all these jobs where I'd make good money, 6 figures, but not have to work much, like 10 hours a week, 10, 15 hours a week. I've always been someone who can just get stuff done really fast, faster than most others. So I have more time for other stuff. So I did that, and then got into trading Forex, foreign exchange, for a while.
Pips.
Yeah, trading pips, bro. Using algorithmic software to do that. And just always been a saver. I got Jewish blood, so, I don't want debt. I don't spend a ton. And I don't really have expensive taste, to be honest. So now, dude, I always just find money just finds me in creative, different ways. I'm always doing some eclectic thing. I still do some sales stuff on the side, whether it's consulting or doing some calls for like a short period, make some money, or I've got a couple side businesses that I make money from too. So kind of just all over the place.
And you're probably having fun with it.
Yeah, bro. I can't be doing stuff that I hate anymore. It takes away. I'd rather just be broke and die poor. And that's not the case. Like, the more I let go and trust life, the more opportunities to make more money come into my life. That's actually what happens with me. If I try too hard to do stuff and make money, this is something I've had to change in this last year. Is like, I realized I had such a pattern or perspective where the smartest people are making the most money. And so for me, how that would work for me is, if I'm not making a lot of money, then I must not be smart. But I know I'm intelligent. I'm an incredibly intelligent, cognitive person. So I'm trying all these things that I know I can do, and they're not really working out, and I hate them, and I'm not making much. And then I let go and kind of just vibe, and then like money finds me. And so I'm really, really letting go of trying to figure stuff out and go do stuff, and just receiving. And I'm really okay if I don't make jack shit, which has not been the case. But I'm done trying to live in a way where I'm going out and need to get and grind. That's not my human design, my personality type. It's to sit back and let it come to me and vibe.
Yeah. Oh, you talked a little bit about energy. One common theme of this podcast is following the excitement, right? How do you find your excitement?
Great question. For me, it feels like a feeling, right? Excitement's a feeling.
Yeah.
So immediately you tell me, do I want to eat a grilled cheese? That sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Do I want to lick a dog? No, it doesn't sound exciting.
Well,
no, it doesn't sound exciting. So it's a feeling that I get to just test against myself, right?
Yeah.
So again, I feel like life really brings to me what I need at all times. And so life brings me excitement, things I want to do, friends to be around, I'm a big believer in magnetizing things, which isn't even a process of doing anything. It's just being, and life will bring you what you need. And so the people I'm around that excite me, or the opportunities to do fun things and do joyous things, or business ventures or creations, life will bring to me. And part of that process, a lot of the time in the last year, has been sitting in nothing and being okay just being and doing nothing, which growing up felt like, this is boring as shit. I want to be doing stuff. I want to be playing video games. I want to be doing anything, you know?
Yeah.
So sitting in that boredom has allowed more stuff to come into my life that actually is truly exciting, instead of just trying to fill a gap of being afraid to sit and do nothing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Have you read the Surrender Experiment or something like that?
Yeah, Michael Singer. Yeah, I love Michael Singer. I've read his books a couple times.
A couple times?
Yeah.
What's one key takeaway from that book?
Yeah. So Michael's got the Surrender Experiment, and then he also has the Untethered Soul, which I've read 3 times, and it's
that's a good one.
Like throughout in the last 6 years, I've read it 3 times, and it's hit me in different ways, just with my own personal journey at those different times. What I love from the Surrender Experiment is he does such a good job throughout his whole life of, at times, something is presented to him. Like the whole idea of the Surrender Experiment for him is, I'm going to experiment with my life of just surrendering to life.
Yeah.
And at times he would come to crossroads of something shows up to him, which feels like it's from life. Life's like, hey, pay attention to this. And his ego is like, I don't want that. I don't want that. And he does a really, really good job of hearing both of those voices and then choosing the higher calling, which is life or his higher self or God or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And following that and understanding that over time. And it sounds like it gets easier for him, but the decisions get bigger. And so it feels almost heavier as he describes it. And his life just explodes. And through reading it for me, it seems like and this is the experience I'm having too, is my ego, I do not know what's best for me. I hardly know what I even want at times. I really don't know. Like, a lot of my life has been driven by the things that I want, being in fear. And then I get them and I'm like, wait, I don't even want this shit, dude. Fuck this shit. This shit sucks.
Yeah.
And the more I surrender, like Michael did in his book, and now he's, 60 or 70 and he ran $1 billion company for a while and loved what he was doing, is I'm okay not knowing what's best for me. I'm more than happy to admit that I have no idea a lot of the time what I actually want. And I actually really, like this woman was helping you with your coach, trust life. I trust God. I trust my higher self, or whatever it is that has my best interest in mind and in my heart. And I don't have to worry about it. It will all come to me. Even if at the time it feels like this sucks ass, like being cheated on and having to get divorced from your wife.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I threw a temper tantrum. I hated it. And yet life always knows what's best for us. And I'm just in a repeated process of letting go.
Let it go. Right.
Give it up.
Yeah. Get rid of the expectations.
Totally.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. There's so many dimensions. Okay. And I think this is the first time I've ever spoken about this. Dimensions meaning, I don't know, the physical. For example, we've got movies, right? They set these expectations of what love should look like. These are the human created things, the social constructs. Like college. Why do we go to college? We feel compulsed to do it because, quote unquote, everybody goes.
Totally.
Right? A lot of social constructs. Money. Again, that's like a human created thing. It's a system. The government, again, it's a system. Then you've got the spiritual dimension. And I think that there's more power. There's more, what do you call it? Invigorment? You know what I'm trying to say here?
Invigorament's a new one, bro. I like that, though. We can keep going on that. We talked about language earlier. Let's keep that ripping.
Yeah, dude.
Spiritual invigorment, baby.
Yeah. I think that's where things are really at. Spiritual connection, right? Removing all that, the human created things, because all that stuff doesn't matter, dude. If I were to take a stab at it. Yeah. It's like, who you are at the end of the day is what actually matters. The real quote unquote gold, for some reason we gave value to gold, right? We'll just use that as an example of the human is their character and their spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that there's really a scale or a metric that you can put on somebody's spirit, right? There's not.
Absolutely not.
Yet you can kind of sense it, though. Like, this is a highly spirited person. I'm attracted to them. They have a bright light. Yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And we begin to, the more I've experienced this, the more authentic I become and the more of me I become, which is like Drew, but also just this like pure light, this being, this God energy. We start to attract others like that into our lives. And it's so beautiful when you get to do that. I'm starting to be around so many amazing people here in Austin. I really deeply get to experience that with, and who compliment me. And I get to experience that just like pureness. I'm spending a lot of the time around a woman I really love right now. And she's just got this amazing pure energy that I feel like is reciprocated. And when I get to experience that with somebody else, it's like nothing else, whether it's with a romantic partner or just a friend. You just get to connect. And it's like, what's up, dude? You know, we're getting past the Greg and Drew, and it's like, I see you.
You know, two things. Enrichment was the word I was looking for.
There it is. Invigorment. All right, I'm going to replace enrichment with invigorment starting now, bro. Let's shake it up.
Invigorment, dude. Invigorated?
That's a word, yeah.
That's a word.
Yeah.
Invigorated and enrichment together, bro.
Invigorment, baby.
Now that's fuego.
Straight up.
And then 2 or 3 days ago, I went on a run around Town Lake. That was the first time that I saw your lady in real life. She was sitting in the back of a pickup truck talking to some old timer.
Cool.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to see Drew in just a couple of days.
Nice, man.
What are the chances of this?
Awesome.
It was like a sign, man.
Straight up,
cool.
dude. Yeah.
Really cool.
God places little things in our path.
Speaking of God, you got yourself a godly woman.
I would say so.
You would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah, bro.
Dude, what a life, right?
Straight up, man. Absolutely.
That way to put it.
I love it out here, man. I'm loving the relationships I'm getting to create and that are coming to me. And the place that I'm, the direction that I'm going right now is towards really seeing everybody as one.
Yeah.
Like looking at others and seeing myself in them because we all are one.
Yeah.
And the love that opens in my heart to just go throughout life and trust everything. It feels so good, and it unlocks things for people, and it's super fun, bro. And it's exciting, it's joyful, it's expansive, it's collaborative.
Like, forget this whole, oh, I look up to you, or oh, there's a celebrity. No, dude, we're one, bro. And you talked about vibe earlier. If you're like living authentically, like you said, which is the best thing ever, you go up to a celebrity, you can hang out with them, you can have fun with them. They're not gonna look at you like as somebody that's below them, because then they're not vibing, right? Right?
Absolutely.
It's like it's just, again, it's fun.
Oh yeah, it's so fun to. One of my favorite things is, I think I really got this from being in this cult that I grew up in, this church that I grew up in. Is like we would really kind of leave out people on the edges, and we would look up to people who were charismatic and were good orators and could speak from the pulpit. And a lot of the people on the sidelines would get left out, like the people on the edges, people who didn't quite fit in. And I have such a heart for like being present with everybody, especially people that feel like they're not seen, and sending them love and showing them love. Like, no matter who I become or where I'm at in life or my status or any of that BS, I really want to be able to look at somebody in the eye and give them the time of the day and show them just as much love as I would my best friend.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And ultimately just vibe out here. My best friend has a title for himself, which is Chief Vibe Officer, CVO. And I love stepping into that too, which is the job is just a vibe. It's just a vibe.
You got a Chief Vibe Officer. My other buddy Gabriel is the Vibes Dealer.
Vibes Dealer? So he's wheeling and dealing.
Well, you met him. You know him.
Yeah, I have met him.
He's at the Christmas party.
Yeah. I met him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's cool. So, dude, I'm fired up about the clothing company. I want to see it take off. It sends a great message.
Yeah.
It's where it's at. At the end of the day, what are we here to do? Love people, bro.
Straight
Love
up.
thy neighbor.
Straight
You
up.
can't mess with that.
Mm-mm.
There's no arguing that.
No,
I don't care what
no,
religion
sir.
you're a part of, right? It's all the same. Yeah? It's great. Huge message. How do people get a hold of you, Drew?
Find me on the street.
Find
Say
you on
hi.
the street.
No, I don't actually get on the street much.
No.
I've got the best ways to get a hold of me is my Instagram. I don't go on a ton, and I'm actually kind of unplugged from the internet quite a bit. But I've got an Instagram. It's just Drew, JUSTDREW. It's also my artist name for music I'll start releasing next month.
Sick.
Yeah, and then the Love People has a website. It's lovepeople.shop, and then we also have an Instagram which is lovepeople.apparel, and we'll start shipping stuff out and releasing stuff at the end of June. And I'm really excited. We've got some cool stuff, some really fun designs. And I'm really excited to start seeing people and friends and family all wearing it.
Yeah, it's on. It's on. Folks, thanks so much for tuning in. Drew, thanks for coming by today. The encompassing experience that we want to deliver in this podcast is powerful messages to inspire those through storytelling. This story that you shared today is incredible. So thank you so much for bringing the heat today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it's always great talking with you, bro. It's always good seeing you. I love your energy, man.
It's fired up. It's fired up. Love it too, bro. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
Folks, you heard it here first. Greg Carlson, your host of the Elite League podcast. Make sure to hit that thumbs up, smash that subscribe, and why not leave a 5-star review if you're getting jacked by listening to these.
Smash it. If you're getting
Invigorated.
enrichment, invigorated.
Invigorated.
What was it, bro?
Yeah.
All right, we'll circle back on that.
Rewind. Till next time, everybody, stay fired up. Cheers.